and I think it's topical given a lot of things that are going on in the news and things like that right now. We've all seen like the footage, I believe it was in Seattle or could have been Portland, some other Democratic shithole, where a guy pulls in, he's like delivering pizza or some shit. He's going down a street where there's a protest going on. He allows the vehicle to become immobilized, all right? Apparently he's a concealed carrier. The mob kind of comes up around his car. He fires one shot from inside the vehicle, hits a guy. The mob kind of parts. He's able to get out of the vehicle, go on foot, and then he goes and turns himself into the cops that are on a riot line around the corner, okay? So we're seeing more and more of that where we've got, mass civil unrest, big crowds, and immobilized vehicles, okay? So what we need to think about beforehand is that, your car, depending on what size it is, as long as it's not a little Renault Elantra, you've got, in some cases, half ton or more, full ton of one big bullet, essentially, okay? So that car in and of itself is a weapon, okay, that you can utilize if you feel that your life is imminently in danger, okay? So use of force law pretty much across the country at the federal level is we can use lethal force to defend ourselves or another against threat of death or serious bodily harm, okay? So I'm not saying go out and run through a crowd of protesters. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if you're in a situation where they're throwing Molotov cocktails at your car, they're breaking windows, they're trying to extract you from that vehicle, and you can articulate that your life is in immediate danger, that car is a much more effective weapon than your gun, okay, if you happen to be carrying. So that's the first consideration is if we can use the vehicle to effect an exit from that space to get off the X, so to speak, we want to do that. We want to stay in the car if at all possible. Okay, that said, once that car is stationary, it just becomes a magnet for bad attention, okay? So if, say we're in an overseas context, we're doing executive protection detail, something like that, if that vehicle becomes immobilized, you can bet that bad guys are going to be shooting at it in fairly short order, okay? Stateside, you might not have people shooting at it, but you're going to have people trying to crack that thing open and get you out of it. And once that happens, it's pretty much their decision whether you walk away from that situation alive or a vegetable or what have you, okay? So priority number one is to keep the vehicle moving if at all possible, okay? If we need to hit somebody with it and we're justified in using lethal force, we're going to hit somebody with it, okay? If we do get stopped, okay, for whatever reason, we want to think about how we're going to deploy the gun from inside the vehicle and how we're going to get out of the vehicle and get off the X, okay? So I don't have a live gun on me right now. It's in the trunk. I just have the blue gun. So if you guys want to kind of form a semicircle or a circle around the vehicle, I'll kind of demonstrate to you how I would go about getting out of this thing if I was in a situation where I couldn't move the vehicle anymore. Say I hit something, the crowd's just too thick, I can't get through it. Obviously the door would not be open. Okay. Something I like to do when I'm carrying concealed, I'll take my outer layer of clothing and I'll actually pull it up and put it on the outside of the seat belt, okay? And what that allows me to do is pick that outer layer up, okay? And I can lift it and I can still access my firearm, okay? Since I'm wearing this external belt, I don't really have to worry about it, okay? So the first thing that I want to do once this thing becomes immobilized is I want to think about how the hell am I going to get out of this situation and away from this vehicle, okay? I got people trying to break in. The first thing I need to do is make myself as mobile as possible so I can get to the gun. So I'm going to grab my seatbelt up high at my chest. I'm going to follow it down to the buckle, okay? Because if I just go and I try to, particularly this is not my car, it's a rental, so I'm really constrained over here trying to find that buckle. If I follow this chest strap all the way down, I can find the buckle, I can release it, I'm going to guide it across, okay? At that point, I'm going to hip up here to give myself clear access to the gun. Okay, and at that point, if I need to address threats on this side of the vehicle, it's pretty simple. I just come up and straight out, okay? If I need to address threats directly in front of me, I can come here, punch out if I need to, okay? if I want to, well, we'll talk a little bit about that too. You see the steep pitch of this glass? Okay, shooting out the side glass is pretty easy because that bullet is going to penetrate straight through and it's going to hit pretty much where I'm aiming, okay? Shooting out of this glass at that angle of deflection is going to cause that bullet to pitch up like this. So I want to aim low when I'm shooting out of glass. When I'm shooting in, I want to aim a little bit high because the bullet's going to go in and down, okay? So it's the exact opposite whether I'm on the inside or the outside. Some of this laminated glass is pretty hard to get through and it's going to spider out. So what you ideally want to do, you want to pick your target, put 2 or 3 rounds in it to kind of get a hole in that window, and then you can shoot from it. But again, I don't want to hang out here all day. My goal is to unass this vehicle and effect an escape on foot, okay? If I need to address a threat from this side, again, I'm going to hip up, okay? I don't want to cut across this way, especially under stress, where I'm flagging my femoral arteries on both my legs. So what I want to do is I want to come up and I want to trace a line over the steering wheel like this. And then I can readjust my body to shoot out this side of the vehicle, okay? So, again, if I'm here and I want to address a threat to this side, all right, I'm going to find that seat belt, I'm going to follow it down, disengage it, follow it up, hip up, over the steering wheel, and here, okay? I'm probably going to keep my gun in my hand as I get out of the vehicle, but if I were to need to reholster, say I'm training this skill, okay, I'm going to come back over the holster, hip up again, back to the holster here, okay? So once I'm at this point, I'm going to assess that situation. If that crowd's backed up enough that I can get out, I'm going to get out and I'm going to haul ass by the clearest path available, okay? Anybody have any questions about deploying or shooting from the vehicle? Nope, okay. So the next thing we'll talk about is kind of the vehicle itself as an object, okay, or as a piece of concealment and or cover, okay? So the first thing we need to understand is what constitutes cover and what constitutes concealment. Anybody want to venture a guess as to what cover is?
Cover would be positioning behind a part of the vehicle that makes you visibility restricted. But
so we got cover and we've got concealment.
yeah, so cover would be like the engine block.
Right.
So like one
Right.
side or the other or in the front. But
Concealment
would be
Right.
the side.
Okay, so cover is anything that's going to, excuse me, anything that's going to stop a bullet, okay? So concealment, on the other hand, is something that might hide or obstruct us from a threat's vision and or allow us to affect our own movement, okay? So if I go down in that wood line, some of those big trees, they might be true cover. The little ones might be concealment where I can get behind them and I can move to where I need to move to, okay? On the vehicle, the tricky part of it is only certain parts of it and relatively small parts constitute actual cover. So the engine block, the tires, some of your law enforcement vehicles will actually have bulletproof or bullet resistant panels in them. A lot of times you'll see cops hanging out like in this V here. That's all well and good if you've got a ballistic door, okay? But most of your, civilian available vehicles don't have ballistic panels in the door. So we don't want to hang out right here, depending on where our threat's at. If my threat's over here, all right, I've got some cover behind the engine block. But if my threat's over here, this door is not going to offer me any kind of real cover. 9mm bullets will zip right through these panels, no problem. In some cases, they'll go from side to side on the vehicle, and you can retrieve them on the opposite side, or they'll get stuck in the opposite door panel, but they definitely won't protect you in the passenger compartment, okay? The other thing that we want to think about, if we can use the length of the vehicle, a popular term now that gets kicked around a lot in the internet training space is stacking pillars, okay? So in the law enforcement world, we refer to these as, and probably fire rescue too, as pillars, right? We probably stole it from you, matter of fact. So you got the A pillar, B pillar, C pillar, okay? If we stack those up at the length of the vehicle, that offers us a little bit more protection. But personally, I'm not a huge fan of that even. I don't want to hang out around this car any more than I have to, okay? Cover, I think of it as a temporary asset, okay? In that it can degrade over time. So say I'm hiding behind a brick wall and somebody's shooting at me with a 223 or 308 or something like that, over time that brick's going to break down. It's not going to be as effective as it was if I just keep hanging out there, okay? If I'm hiding behind an earthen berm, yeah, okay, sure, I can hide there all day, okay? So that cover can degrade, okay? But more importantly, the cover can be mitigated by the enemy's movement, okay? So if you hang out here, we any paintball players? Yeah, airsoft, anything like that? Okay, if you hang out in one spot, you're probably going to get pelted, right? You have to be constantly mobile, and we need to think about this in the same way, okay? One of the reasons I like to talk about vehicles specifically is they're all over the place. We're all in and out of them every day, particularly like in a law enforcement context. Cops love to be around a car, okay? But bad shit also happens around the vehicle, okay? A lot of people get assaulted in parking garages. You have a lot of, like we were talking about, civil unrest situations, carjackings, things of that nature, okay? The car is an asset that other people want as well, so we need to know how to deal with threats and things of that nature, okay? So one of the things we're going to talk about with cover a little bit later on is we don't necessarily always want to suck up to it, okay? So we don't want to be, say I'm using the engine block for cover, I don't necessarily want to be up here like this, okay, on top of that cover, even if I'm kneeling down, okay, because then I can start picking up rounds that come off the top of this hood and ricochet or whatever, okay? I can use this cover from back here just as effectively, okay, outside of arm's distance, and I can still come up over it if I need to and engage. I can pie out and come around it, okay? In the case if I'm trying to use the wheel for cover, okay, I might come down here, all right? I might brace against it like this and be able to shoot from under the car if I need to, okay? So we just need to have an idea of what constitutes cover, what constitutes concealment, and how to utilize it effectively, okay? Any questions at all about vehicles? All right, cool.